Have you ever visited your website and saw this? Well, your website isn't dead. We're going to tell you how to avoid this problem in the future. Hi, my name is Annie Kamai and welcome to Alchemy Chat. So today we are going to be talking about that white screen of death, the error message that makes your heart sink when you visit your website. Something is broken and you don't know what it is. I have some clients that I've got three in particular that this has happened recently. There are multiple reasons why this happens to a website, but the best way to avoid it is to have hosted support. So put that in your back pocket while I tell you a story. I have a few clients, three of them just in most recent history, have called me and said, oh my gosh, something's wrong with my website. Can you go take a look at it? So the first guy it happened right after WordPress did a major update. And when that happens, if you have a webmaster taking care of your website, they know when these updates are happening so they can prepare your website. They can avoid your website going down like this. And so he called me. He's like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with my website. Can you go take a look at it? I've been in there multiple times. I, helped build his website and I helped flesh it out. So I'm very familiar with it. And I went in and I looked at it. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we got it fixed in not very long. It took me, I don't know, a couple of hours to figure it out and see what was broken. And so he went on his merry way, super happy. And then another client had emailed me. She's like, oh my God, Annie, something is wrong with my website. It's not broken. Can't even log into it. So it was just the plain white screen that said, fatal error, contact your system administrator. And she didn't know what to do because she's like, who's my system administrator? What had happened with her website was there were some plugins that needed updating. You have to visit another video that I made about where your website lives. And we talk about web hosting, the difference between website hosting and your URL and your actual website. So website hosting is where your files live. And a hosting plan is you can buy your own hosting plan with GoDaddy or WordPress or like WP Engine is a hosting plan. You can do Bluehost. I have Bluehost. So these are all, there's a ton of them. You can have your own website hosting, but if you have nobody looking over your files and all the things that need updating, this could happen to you. So that second client, she called me and she's like, something's wrong with my website. It was just a plain white screen. So we went in there, we found out what the problem was, and we got it fixed in no time. So, and she was on about her merry way and she was very happy. But she just so happened to visit her website. She did not know how long her website was down. And when that happens, you're losing money, because if you are driving any kind of traffic to your website through all of the means, if you're doing SEO, you have somebody looking over, so that's not going to happen. But if you're just like promoting your business on social media, or if you're running ads, or if you are, connected with another website that feeds traffic to your website, you're not going to know how much money you're losing. So it's very, very important that you have someone watching over your website. So the last client I had, and that was the most recent one, his was like that as well. And he didn't even know that his website was down. I just so happened, because I was working on his social media a while back, and I just so happened to go to his website to go check something out because he didn't have hosted support with me. And same thing. His website was broken. It wasn't the white screen like the other client, but the homepage. And, we helped him build that website. So I was very, very familiar with the layout. And I'm like, oh my God, something is wrong with his website. I had an idea of what it was. So I called him. I'm like, hey, go look at your website. It's broken. Let me know if you want me to fix it. So of course we took care of it. And sometimes when you do you fix it, there's multiple things that go wrong with it. And what happens when your website does that is you have these things called plugins. So plugins are all the things that make your website function. For example, if you have like a slideshow, like some websites have like their reviews, right? It's just slides like that. A plugin makes that happen. You have forms, those are plugins, those make that happen. So you have multiple plugins on your website, and each one has its own creator, if you will. And when they're constantly updating their plugins to fix bugs, to fix glitches, they're always updating it. So if there's an update, you need to go in, take a look at all the recent updates for all of your plugins, because you'll get a notification on the back end of your website. You get a notification that, hey, this plugin needs updating, but you can't just go update because you have multiple plugins made by multiple different engineers. And when you update one, it could conflict with another one. So that's what happens in these three instances. The plugins were updated and they were set to automatic update. So they clashed and something broke. One thing broke, another thing, and this one can affect this one. So everything is all interconnected. And so this is why it's very, very important to have hosted support for your website. You not only have website hosting, but you also want to make sure that you have an engineer or a tech or a web expert watching over your website and periodically going in. So we go in every month and we check all of the updates and make sure that everything is working properly. And when you update your plugins, you can't just update it, like I said, because if you update this one, it could break another one. So we have to go, it's complicated. And if you're a business owner busy running your business, you don't need to know how this gets done. You just need to know that it does get done. But be that as it may, you are busy running your business. You don't need to worry about updating your plugins and using a staging site and stuff. You can if you want to, but why do you want to pull focus from what your goals are when you can let somebody else handle it? We can take care of it in a matter of a few hours, as opposed to you going to have to figure it out and you got to go learn how to do it. And you might do it, you might not do it safely. And then if you didn't have your website backed up, it's going to default back to the last time you backed it up, so it just gets to be an ugly, ugly mess. So I wanted to remember to ask you, if you find value in what we have to share in this video, would you please like our video? And we would love for you to subscribe. That way you get notifications when we are posting new content. And we'd love for you to follow us and come along with us on this journey on YouTube. Okay? Okay, so a little bit more about hosted support. So if you want to get your own hosting plan, you can do that. And I want to tell you about some of the differences. So there's GoDaddy. Everybody knows about GoDaddy. That's where we go to purchase our web address, your URL. And then you can also build a website on GoDaddy, and you can also use them for hosting. So these are all separate services that you can get with GoDaddy and services like them, like WP Engine and also Bluehost and HostGator. I mean, there's just a ton. There's a ton. So what are the differences? Don't shop based on price, because that's not a good indication of the quality of the service that you're going to be receiving from that hosting plan. So the problem with GoDaddy, in my experience, is that because GoDaddy is a huge, huge, huge behemoth company, it's hard to get in touch with people. You can chat and stuff, but it's very difficult. And because I've had to go on to GoDaddy for some of my clients, and I've literally chatted with them for like 2 hours trying to get an issue corrected. So the support and the customer service is really not there. It's more for people who just want something, just set it and forget it kind of thing. The other thing about GoDaddy is that because there are so many websites hosted on their plan, it's not ideal as far as user experience. So one of the factors in ranking your website on Google is user experience. And because they take a look at how much time people spend on your website and what they do, how they interact with your website. And part of the user experience is load time, is the speed of your website. So how long a page takes to load. If it is not loaded, like within seconds, people bounce. They don't stick around for that because there's so much competition. There's so many more websites out there that they could visit. They're not going to stay. So websites and hosting plans, huge ones like GoDaddy, um, people tend to dip out quickly because if your website speed is not up to par, they're not going to stick around. So that's one thing. I mean, I don't ever recommend GoDaddy because, especially for a business owner that doesn't have the time to take care of their website, GoDaddy is just not awesome. And then I use Bluehost. I use Bluehost for some of my clients. And then we also have WP Engine. WP Engine is WordPress, and WordPress is the authority when it comes to websites. The majority of websites out there are built on WordPress, and WordPress is a content management system. And you'll read about that, or you'll learn about that in my other video. If you go watch it, I'm gonna leave a thing at the end. Yeah, so you can have your sites hosted there, HostGator. But if you don't have somebody watching over it, and something happens to your website, your plugins don't update, something's going to break, like for sure. Almost all the websites today have plugins. Those really super old websites that it's kind of like just like a black background, and like when you scroll, only the middle scrolls. Those are like super old, but they didn't have, and a lot of them are, I think, coded. So those didn't have plugins, so they can go on and they can live online forever. But the new type of websites where it's pretty much drag and drop to build a website, it's very, very easy to build a website. But that is the downside, is that there are a lot of plugins and functionality that need to be updated and paid attention to. Okay, so one of the last things I wanted to talk about, which is super, super important, and I come across this like more times than I care to discuss. But when somebody builds your website, let's say somebody built your website for you, like you hired some guy and they build a website, and you want to make sure that you are an admin on that website, that you have your email registered as an admin on the website, and you have your password, because those items are very, very important in order for you to protect your website. So let's say you have a guy, and your web guy, and he builds your website, and he goes on his merry way. He's still an admin on your website, right? So if you lose your password, can you contact him? Do you still have his contact information? And does he care enough about you to get back to you, to like, oh, hey, buddy, can you I lost my password. Can you go reset my password so that I can log into my website? Because the only way, let's say you are on GoDaddy and you wanted to move to my server, because that is a service that I offer for my clients, is hosted support. And mind you, if you have a hosting plan and a hosted support plan with me, we don't charge you anything for updating the website, backing up the website monthly. And also, if you need any work done, like, hey, I gotta change my store hours, or we don't charge for that because it's included in the monthly plan. But if you say, hey, Annie, I want to move my website over to you because I feel like you can take good care of me. I need your login and you need your login and your password, so you can go in there and make me you can make me an admin, because then we can go in there and we can do whatever it is that we need to do. So if you don't have your password and you don't have any way to contact your previous web designer, there are other ways to do it. Like, we need to go into your hosting plan and move the files that way. But if you keep your password and your login for your website, I would like seriously put that in a safe or keep it in your cloud storage, or like I have a vault for inside my cloud storage. I have a vault for you know, important information like, you know, tax info and stuff that you don't want anybody like looking at. So make sure you keep your password and your login handy in the event that you want to move it, or in the event that I got to come in and fix it. You got to add me as an admin because I have to be able to log into the back end of your website. If you want hosted support with our company, then you got to add me as an admin so I can go in there and do what we need to do to move all the files. We got to make sure that we protect your email, because if you're using a domain email, that's another thing to consider, because we don't want to interrupt any of your email service and all of those things. So I mentioned earlier about the other video that I would love for you to watch. It's called Where Your Website Lives, and it's the anatomy of a website. So we would love for you to watch that. So I use vidIQ for my analytics and to help me optimize my titles and my thumbnails and all of that. And their advice is you just end a video. You know, you're like, you don't want to drop your traffic to drop off at the end of the video. So if I just ended my video, it would kind of look like this.